No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world, and we are back with another panel episode. I'm joined by, to my left, the only person I've actually podcasted with here before, Harriet Sugarcookie is in the building.
Hello.
To my right, I guess my left, from you guys' perspective, I have Dos Rivers, who's a guy that I've been following on Twitter for a while. I figured he would be a good person to try out on the podcast.
What's going on?
How you doing, G? And then you brought a young lady with you over here.
Losa.
Losa?
Yes.
Losa.
Losa.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I was trying to explain to my girl earlier who he was, and I was like, oh, yeah, right. Okay, there was a video that went viral. I'm assuming you know about this, and you probably don't. But it's basically like him in a pool. Maybe you want to tell the story.
Yeah, so I took my daughter swimming. I think it was like Father's Day weekend, Juneteenth. And some lady just walked up to me and was like, yeah, it was a white lady. Yeah, my son was born on Juneteenth. And I'm just like.
He's filming himself.
All right. And then, yeah, she said something about some slave owners. And I'm just in the video like, all right. I like just tried to change the conversation.
In that moment, I was kind of like, maybe white people shouldn't just be walking up to black people and just saying shit.
Yeah.
You know? Because
That's wild.
that really just illuminated what your life experience might be like. I'm assuming that was a first.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I lived in Georgia, so.
Georgia, like a weird melting pot.
If you outside of Atlanta,
Yeah.
it gets weird for you.
True.
Right.
It get real weird.
How was that as a viral experience, though?
I mean, that happens all the time on Twitter for me, so it was just like another.
People just tell you when their children's birthdays are?
No, he's saying he goes viral on Twitter on a regular basis.
God.
Not that white women tell him about
It
it.
was just like,
That's a really weird stick to have, but you know.
I think that video is honestly how I found out what Juneteenth was. I didn't even know about that before.
I still don't know.
You don't?
I'm from England. We don't.
Oh, okay.
Well, so in America, there was this thing, and maybe I shouldn't be the one explaining this, but there was this thing called slavery, and that was the day that they said, no more.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a holiday now in Georgia.
Juneteenth was like
That's
when
great.
it got all the way to
Paid
Texas.
holiday.
I hear about it all the time now. But at that time, I didn't really know. Although the way that she said it and the way that he reacted, I knew it was something racially inflammatory. For sure.
That's crazy.
So you have a real taste for white women or what? I'm trying to get to know this dude.
Oh, me? Yeah, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. Not ever.
Never?
Never have. Probably never will.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you?
31.
31, and you've just avoided it your whole life?
It's not my thing.
When you think about it, when you picture a white vagina, have you ever watched porn? You ever seen a white vagina in porn?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I wouldn't even know how to approach a white woman.
Really?
Like, I'd be like, what, you want to go get some Starbucks or something?
In fact, I do. Yeah, right here.
What the
But I mean, black people like Starbucks, right?
Yeah, I fuck with it, yeah.
Some percentage of them. Maybe not as many as white people, but
ice apple macchiato crisp thing, yeah, that's my shit.
That's
right
what you
there.
fuck with?
Yeah, that's my go-to.
Frappuccino.
Does that count as racist? I'm not saying that you are or not, but I work in porn, right? And there was this phase that everyone kind of went through where they were saying like, if you have never like slept with a black guy, that means you're racist because you won't sleep with a black guy, right?
Right.
Like a lot of people like, if you never did interracial porn, that's racist. Because like, what do you have against black guys, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So like, if you switched it and was like, well, I'm never gonna sleep with a white person. Like, I think it's preference. You know, like
Right.
you can't force who you're into, but to also completely exclude an entire race without, you know.
I'm just not attracted to white women.
Like,
It's like, it's some cute ones here and there, but it's just like,
I mean,
alright.
I respect it because, okay, I would have sex with any woman of any race, pretty much. Like, I can't think of a race that I would not want to fuck. But, I mean, there are other things that I would disqualify a woman based on. I don't want to fuck a 400-pound woman.
I feel you.
I don't want to fuck an 80-year-old woman. I don't want to fuck a woman with a giant tumor hanging off the side of her head. Now, I'm not saying that those things are, like, comparable to race, but, I mean, we all have preferences, right?
oh yeah,
Where the fuck
everybody
the
entitled to
tumor
everybody entitled to their preference. So
what's on your hard no list?
Oh, I don't date.
You don't date?
It's everything.
I don't date.
Everything.
Man, how
is
do
on
you
your
two
no
know
list.
each other?
I'm from Atlanta. Yep, we're just mutual friends.
I
We've
used
known each
to
other
do-
for a long time, like 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to do music videos, so that's where a lot of people know me from in Atlanta. Running around doing that.
Okay.
A couple 100 million views.
Interesting. Who'd you shoot videos for?
The biggest one, Pull Up With a Stick. That's something I worked on.
Stop it. The video that got a whole neighborhood indicted?
Yeah.
So
times.
you weren't the FYI for this video. Pull Up With a Stick refers to guns.
Yeah.
Oh.
There was like 5 million guns in it, and then somebody made a YouTube video that was basically like the music video that got an entire block indicted or some shit.
Yeah, it was on First 48. It was crazy.
Did that occur to you while you were shooting the video? Like,
Yeah. But I mean, as a person holding the camera, I ain't thinking about that.
it's not really your business. Yeah.
But
it's not on me.
don't Americans have this whole Second Amendment thing where you're allowed guns?
It wasn't like the fact that they had guns. It was the fact that they were, presumably, from what I recall, they were a street gang showing a ton of guns. And then the cops probably already had all these crimes that they wanted to link in with them. And then you got all these guns. You could pretty much see the serial numbers. You could identify those guns.
Yeah,
That's how it comes back to get people a lot of times.
So it was a lot of kids running around with guns out there too. It was crazy.
Yeah.
The original edit, they had to cut all that out. I put a lot of that in there. I was like, nah, we can't do that. So they changed it up.
Oh, you're right.
I still got the original files though. So
Oh, I remember that. And then he had to do a whole different version of the video without any guns in it to try to make it more commercial.
and it didn't work. I don't even know if they put it out.
Wow, that is a pretty legendary. That's a big piece of Atlanta history right there to have under your belt.
But yeah, I work with Trail. I know you had Trail up here a little bit ago. CEO Trail.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Long
Okay, cool.
Way, Boosie.
Boosie.
I went on tour with Boosie for a little bit. That was cool.
Nice. That's what's up.
Yeah, so.
To go back to what you were saying, though, one of the big things, all over the years in porn, like I would listen to interviews and stuff, and I would always hear that there was a lot of women who would basically not sleep with black men because they felt like that was going to like lessen the value that they were able to charge within the industry. Now, to a certain extent, I think that was true. I don't know that it's still true. But there's a big stigma around saying that, even though I have heard a lot of women in porn privately say that.
There's a lot of booby traps in porn when you work in porn, and there's a lot of politics that you don't really hear about. So especially with the modern day, I hate the word woke, but like modern day wokeness and trying to fit that, because obviously porn is sex, it's intimate, it's like very vulgar. So it's kind of like, how do you fit politics into something that's already fucking
Right.
So there was like, so for instance, the LGBTQ plus community can be, a bit of a minefield. Have you ever, had conversations where you're like, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to, I might be wrong here. So like, there was this phase where people were saying like, if you're a bi guy, right, in porn, and you're doing like porn with like gay porn and then straight porn, and then a straight porn girl says, well, I don't want to do work with you because you work with gay guys. Is that homophobic? Because, like there's more like supposed risk in the gay community. So do you want to work with someone that's been on like set with like more risks because of that?
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well, should they be able to say, I can't sleep with you or I can't work with you because you do gay porn and I'm scared of the risks? Or does that come across as extremely homophobic?
But
and that applies to race.
The fucked up part is that like we now live in a world where people say things privately that they aren't comfortable saying publicly. Like I'm not a big fan of the idea of like women saying like, oh, I don't sleep with black dudes for this reason or whatever. I could tell why they don't want to say that publicly because it sounds ugly as fuck. But if that's really how you're living, you should feel comfortable saying that because
that's true. That's the
is what it
problem. Like
is.
people are scared to have preferences.
Yeah.
It's getting ridiculous.
Right. Well, would you date a bisexual dude if you
No.
knew? No. See?
No.
See, she's not in the industry enough to know.
I'm not into that.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't blame you
That's
because I'm pretty sure that my girl,
It's a turn off.
if
Like,
I asked her that question off camera, if I said, would you care if you found out that I used to be piping dudes in the ass 5-6 years ago before I met you? I guarantee she would be like, ugh, like, she wouldn't love the idea of it. But publicly facing, I think she also knows enough to be like, oh, yeah, that's okay, Adam, sure, yeah. Which is a shame. Like, I feel like people should be honest and not hide their offensive. Like, I really appreciate the fact that he just said he wouldn't fuck with a white woman.
I don't give a fuck.
I feel like it should be a law that you have to tell your partner.
A law.
Because
I fucked a dude
if
in
you
college.
have a preference, no, seriously, I feel like it should be a thing because if I have a preference, like I don't want guys to fuck guys, I have that right to like. I feel like if we deal with each other, you should have to tell me like you're gay or bi or whatever, gay. So
right. I feel it because, like, I mean, I wouldn't want to sleep with a woman who had been having a lot of unprotected sex with somebody with HIV.
Exactly.
But you could get a test for that.
Yeah.
To see if they have AIDS.
True.
There's not really. I mean, what, you're gonna give somebody a lie detector test to find out if they fucked a dude in their past?
I think the problem there is that like we're making assumptions that someone that's gay has a higher risk, right? But then, you know, there's no saying that you don't have a one night stand with a girl who's also already exposed to HIV and she's never done anything that's been in the gray realm.
Right.
So I think the times when it becomes like this sort of woke kind of like policing is the fact that we're trying to not stigmatize a group because of these things, but there is a history of it, so it's very gray.
Okay, question for you. When you decided, or when you you have that gut feeling that you don't want to sleep with a bisexual dude or a guy who had gay sex in the past, is that because you think there's a higher chance that he might have a STD? I'm assuming you just think it's kind of yucky.
Yeah, it's just that's just like I don't want a guy who's taking dick. I just don't. It's just like no, that's not the kind of guy I am attracted to.
That's fair.
I feel it because I mean, you want to be with somebody who you think of a certain way, and if they're doing something that you think is fundamentally just something you're not into.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Harriet, if you were attracted to me and then you found out that I had killed a couple people, and I don't mean to compare the two because having gay sex and killing people obviously very different things.
On the podcast, didn't AD literally tell me about the times that he's shot people? I feel like I wouldn't even be surprised.
I think he was messing around, or I think I tried to get him to say that, but he wouldn't. Because I spent a lot of time around him, and he's talked to me about criminal deeds, and I never heard him say, like, oh, and then I shot him. I've been waiting to hear that kind of story from him over the years. I keep thinking he's going to get comfortable enough to admit something like that, but I don't think he said that.
I feel like you wouldn't say you killed a person because maybe this is wrong, but I think you're smarter than that to say it on a podcast.
No, I would not say that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stupid people out here.
Murder is different to sleeping with a gay guy, though.
Facts.
Yeah.
Like they're very incomparable.
But I'm saying to a woman, they could both be turnoffs. Things you did in the past.
Yeah,
now, the things you did in
that's a really
a big difference for sure. But
comparison.
women are allowed to have preferences about things that are not even
regardless
inherent.
of what, it's the logic.
Every woman on earth, well, not everyone on earth, but some women will say they would never sleep with a short dude. I mean,
that's just
it's similar, right?
That's just being shallow.
You think that's shallow? I've heard a lot of girls say that.
A lot of girls
but
do say
honestly,
that.
I feel you. I mean, it depends. Like if I'm tall, so
Right, you have no choice.
They say that,
That is
but it's
hilarious.
cap.
You don't buy it?
It's cap.
But I'm tall, so I will probably want a guy that's taller than me. So I feel that. It just depends on how tall you are, I guess.
I like short guys, but my father was a dwarf, so.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'4", but my father was
you're
4'2", so I grew up around short guys,
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you think your preference in men was shaped by your family being short?
No, I would say that I've never really seen like what's so great about this Tinder, like 6 foot and higher, right?
Right.
Like there's this feeling, I think, and I don't know because I'm not one of these girls, but like, this feeling like if he's taller, if he's bigger, if he's stronger, it's like that protector role.
Right.
But then obviously I grew up watching my dwarf dad be like a great role model and a great father. So I never thought that height was one of the requirements to be a good, provider.
But when you're with a guy and he's 6'2", does that not feel different than when you're rolling around with a guy who's 5'2"? I would feel like it's got to feel a little different.
Honestly, like guys' dick sizes really don't matter on their height. Like there's no correlation that I managed to notice. So like I don't even know if height matters that much.
See, that's interesting because I remember reading a book with Superhead, I think it was, and she said that she fucked Shaq, and she was saying his dick was pretty regular schmegular. And that kind of fucked me up because I'm like, damn, like Shaq could have he could have a bigger dick than me, but on his body it's gonna look tiny.
I heard that actually a lot of tall guys have this problem where they're like, I have a regular or even a little bit above average size dick, but then like proportionally it looks small, and like how do I, people see me tall and they expect me to have a really long dick too. Like what do I do about that?
Right.
That's hard.
It would be cool if I could keep the same size dick, but then just be shorter, so it would just look better.
It's actually something you'll notice in porn. I don't know how many porn guys you've met.
I heard they have surgery now.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
but
Oh,
in
yeah.
porn, they genuinely like really popular porn stars. Like I can't name any right now, but are generally shorter guys because it makes their dick look bigger. There's like you pick short
Brian Pumper.
guys. You pick short guys and then shorter girls to make the guys look tall, but then everything, because the girls are small, the guys are short, their dicks look humongous.
Mini stallion.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's all angles.
So going back to the racial preference conversation, over the past day, there's been a big explosive thing going on where a clip has resurfaced of the Fresh and Fit podcast host talking about how they do not fuck with black women, don't want to date a black woman. They call them Shaniquas. They said they ain't night riders.
I haven't heard this.
That shit lame.
I have seen.
Sounds so racist.
Okay,
That shit is
but they're
racist.
black. One of them is black from Barbados, and one of them is Muslim. So
That's
dark
really
skinned.
coonery.
If you saw him in a club, you might think he was black. But that's been extremely controversial. I've seen so many people that I would not have even thought would know about Fresh and Fit mad as fuck about them saying that. It seems like that is one of the best things you could say on the internet if you wanted to make a large section of the internet mad at you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
seen
facts,
someone posted
yeah.
they gained like 3,000 new subscribers just from posting bullshit in a day when they usually get like a couple hundred.
Really interesting. Yeah,
Just
I mean
from that Asian doll shit.
that.
like,
I mean that was the weird thing when I saw all that happening. Is I'm like, do their fans care? Because like I'm seeing all these girls I follow on Twitter mad as fuck. I don't know if that's going to transfer to their primarily male audience. My guess would be no. But how do you feel about that? Like when you see a guy, a black guy in this case, basically saying that they don't fuck with black women. Thoughts?
they say that shit because they can't get them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Facts. That's true.
You
That's
gotta
true.
you gotta move a certain type of way. You gotta
It's
carry
really
us.
coonery.
Yeah. They doing that to try to
Yeah.
get the attention of somebody else.
Facts.
You don't think that that's their sincere opinion? Because people
mean-
are pointing out to me that Kevin Samuels
it-
basically says the same thing.
It could be, but
Yeah,
you don't
it
gotta
might-
go around
yeah.
just saying that shit. Like I don't go around just saying certain shit like this.
I think if he had said it in a more polite way,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been such a big deal. But like he was trying to be
Exactly,
funny
yeah,
with it by
that's
saying the
intent.
Shaniqua thing and the
Yeah.
Knight Rider thing and all that.
Exactly.
I think that probably pissed people off a lot more than they would have
Yeah.
been pissed about him if he had said, like the way that he just said that he doesn't fuck with white women. If he had said it about a black woman like that in a relatively polite way of just like, nah, it's not really my thing or whatever, we
Yeah.
might not be having this conversation right now.
Facts. But his intent was to be a dickhead.
I just don't think that he was. I think he was being honest. That's what kind of amazed me about it.
I
Is
was
I'm like,
being
wow.
honest when I said this. So.
Oh, I believe you were being honest for sure. But I think the Fresh and Fit guys, I didn't get the impression that they were just saying that for attention. I got the idea
That's
that
clickbait shit.
they probably aren't.
Yeah,
really.
they're really like
But I
that.
feel like that makes it worse.
Yeah, facts. They're
'Cause
really like that. They're
now
really
you-
like that.
That
Like,
and you
it's one
thirsty
thing to
for
have
the
a
views.
preference, but it's another thing to like be vocal about your bigotry.
Yeah,
Right?
like yeah. it's-
But is it bigotry? That's really what the question kind of comes back to, because I've been having this conversation for years. I remember I had a homie who only dated Asian women, and whenever we would give him shit about it, he would say, "Hey man, some people like pit bulls, some people like poodles."
Why would they compare Asian women to dog breeds?
Right?
Well, you know,
What the fuck?
human ethnicities are basically like dog breeds for humans, right?
They're-
I mean, is it? I mean, nobody seems to be able to refute this.
Because
I thought it was a pretty good metaphor.
I mean,
Yes and
yeah,
no,
but
like-
wait.
human
What's-
ethnicities haven't
who's
been
the pit bull?
genetically bred to have certain
I'm not making-
characteristics.
yeah.
It's not like we have a whole race of people
I
that we
get what
genetically
you're
bred to
saying,
be
but
taller,
yeah.
and like the variations in dogs are just way too much for me to compare to
Okay,
humans.
well, we haven't intentionally bred human beings to be these sort of exotic races, but I mean, people are essentially doing that one way or another, right? Like, they're, you know, if a person sleeps, if he sleeps with you, you guys are going to make a delightful
I've
Blasian
literally
child
heard-
that's probably going to look
Yeah,
like
so
they could be
that's
hanging out with the
that's a skin
Kardashians,
color
don't you
change.
think?
That's like saying the Pomeranian's white, and then you
It's
get
true.
a Pomeranian that's black, and then you get a Pomeranian that's a mix of black and white. But it's not like saying like if you know like he's gonna suddenly like have a big old tail and like bum muscles and stuff like.
But
there's
there are
much more
genetic differences based
There are
on the
much
different
more
races, right?
differences
No, for
in
sure. I've
dog
heard
breeds than
people say that.
humans.
Like I remember my sister one time was like, I only want a light skinned guy so my kids can look like this or have this
Yeah, you
kind
hear
of
that a lot.
hair texture and things like that.
Yeah.
I've heard guys say that all the time too. Like,
And I hear
Yeah.
women all the time, white women, be talking about how they don't fuck with white guys and they only want to sleep with black guys. And I mean, they might not be saying it, but I think that like deep down on a biological level, part of what they're saying is I want my kid to be a big, tall, strong man.
They want these athletes.
yep.
Yeah. I mean, people also just make the assumption that like big, strong, tall men are going to be able to be better providers. Like on a biological level, they just believe that. So
Yeah, that's
Cap.
yeah. What the? That's
Cap.
ignorant.
okay, so those.
What's up?
I'm trying to like for the people out there who don't know much about you, I see you talking about crypto. I see you talking about guns,
Oh yeah.
women, maybe.
He loves that.
What are your primary interests? I see you tweeting, but I'm trying to get a better
I
vision.
mean, I do a lot of things. Like I switched up from the videos, became a software engineer. Trying to be a firearms instructor, so I'm a range safety officer. So taught people how to shoot a little bit, teach people how to make money. So pretty much show people how to make money, show people how to invest it and protect your assets.
Interesting.
So-
That's what Twista got into.
Yeah.
Twista's a firearms instructor now.
So it's fun.
The first rapper from Chicago being, pretty much the
Right.
the headquarters for gun violence in America.
Right.
And then he became a firearms instructor. I'm like, that's a beautiful thing right there.
I didn't know that.
I feel like everybody should have guns.
I agree.
Facts.
Wholeheartedly.
I do too.
Even children.
I dislike guns.
She from a soft-ass
I mean,
country
but
where
you from
nobody
England,
shoots each
so
other.
y'all don't even have guns out there.
They
I
do it
just
real
think-
intimately. They stab each other.
Yeah, I just think guns
Just
are
girly.
so impersonal. Like if
Have you
I'm
been to
gonna
the gun
hurt
range
a
before?
person, I want to like be this far away as I shank
I don't
you.
think it was like they
You
want to
know?
hurt. It's more protection.
Yeah,
It's protection versus
Yeah.
like wanting to hurt
You
someone.
you
When
been
was
to
the
the gun
last
range
time you
before?
heard someone protect someone with a gun in the news?
All the
It's
time.
All the time.
It's
What
you mean?
so many
Like,
videos out there. Did y'all see that one video
Literally
where
for
that
New
guy
Year's,
followed
like
him to
New
the
Year's
house?
Eve, all I'm seeing are videos of people just shooting their guns in the air, and then like the next day, there's like, oh, boy gets hit from bullet falling from the ground. Like most people are not showing
That
off
happens
the
once a year.
protection.
Yeah, that's a miracle
skills.
right there.
Like
How-
the
how the
protection
hell could that
skills
happen?
of a gun.
Stuff like
right?
that.
Like
I
no
mean-
one,
Like
no
once
one
a
is
year.
like,
That's
oh my
once a year.
god, I'm gonna take this picture so everyone knows how well protected I am and how much I'm gonna protect my family.
That's me
Like
all the
check me
time.
out.
Facts, like don't fuck with me.
No. When you're saying you don't fuck with me, I don't feel like that's you saying like I'm a defender. I think that's
That's
you
how
trying
I
to show
am.
you that you're tough. I think it's aggressive.
I think you're wholeheartedly misrepresenting why Americans want to carry guns, because for 99% of guys that I know who have guns either like in their fucking possession at all times, by their bedstand, etc., you would never know. They don't flex them on social media. You might, yes, you see like extremely visible examples, like, when a rapper gets shot or when you see a
Yeah.
crazy robbery happen when somebody follows somebody home from the club or whatever. But for the average American, they're not posting their guns on social media. They're not NRA members. They're not like showing, it's not a flex. It's just, from my perspective, if you're a man and you live in Los Angeles, just for example, and you don't own a gun and you have, women and children living in your home, you're really
You're
not
crazy.
doing what you're supposed to be doing to protect them, because you're in a situation where anybody could run up in your house and take whatever the fuck they want from you. And that is that statistically super likely to happen? I mean, not really, but we see it happen all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Could you not protect yourself without a gun?
No.
No, not against
mean,
like
you
if you're like there's been
Why not?
videos.
Why
when-
not?
So someone breaks
because
into
they
your house
might
with a
be-
gun
they
and you're
might
going
be
to what?
stronger.
Pull out a
Right, so
butterfly
the
knife?
Problem,
They
the
might be
problem
stronger
is
than
that
you,
the
physically
problem
stronger
is
than you.
that you're scared someone's gonna rob you with a gun.
Right.
So you need a gun
I've been
to
robbed at
protect yourself
gunpoint.
against a gun. And this is the whole thing about Americans and guns that the rest of the world laugh at.
We just gonna do what the Detroit dude do.
Well, we just
Snatch
Like-
the gun out their hand.
Okay.
You know, like it's like that
funny.
thing where everyone's just like, yeah, the school shooting thing. Like, we should do to stop school shooters. We should arm all the teachers with guns. Like that's the American
Okay.
solution.
Now, who said that?
Like.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people saying that, but okay.
But that's
in
what
America,
you're saying. It's like,
but-
because I can get robbed with someone with a gun, I need to have a gun. But it's gun
Okay.
safety, so I'm going to put this gun
I like
in this safe.
I like your
with
idea,
this thing
and it
because
ain't
I
no
don't
safe.
want. I don't
I
want.
like your
I don't want my
idea of
toddlers to get it.
like
So,
the idea that America could just not have guns.
Oh, no, that's
that would
impossible.
be lovely.
Yeah, it's
There's
not
almost
happening.
1 billion guns in America. Many, many, many hundreds of millions.
Guns will never get banned in America.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
And realistically, every bad guy that I know has a gun. So it's pretty much upon good people who want to protect their family and themselves to have a gun or some other way of protecting themselves, because the situation of somebody busting into your house is so common.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in a nice area, and I have multiple guns stationed all over my house.
That's how it's
And
supposed to be.
Facts.
just recently, and I thought that when I moved to a nice area that this would probably not be the case, but it turns out it is the case. The other day, I'm on fucking LA Hood Media or whatever on Instagram, and I see a house that looks kind of familiar, and I realize that 4 guys with guns ran up in a person's house maybe a mile away from my house, which
That's
is to say
crazy.
nothing of the fact that like Pop Smoke got killed like a mile or two away from my house. But again, people ran up in this person's house, and I'm not sure exactly even what happened, but I mean, you had 4 armed robbers run up in his fucking house. That could easily happen to me. I have a big ass gate outside my house, sure, but I mean, how likely is that to stop somebody? If somebody's really ambitious, they're hopping the fucking gate. I don't know. If you don't have a gun in your house in America, I think
You guys
you're
have the
tripping.
Citizen app? You see how much stuff happens?
I was downtown this morning. I just posted it. It was like somebody just got robbed 500 feet away.
Nah,
I'm like, what
seriously,
the fuck?
it's like popping up on the hour, every hour. People are getting robbed, stabbed, all types of stuff.
And it's a crazy state of affairs because we just had everybody yelping about like, oh, let's defund the police. Crime has gone up so much worse. I forget what they said. Murders are up like 100% more for this year than they were last year. The crime is at its all-time, or murders are at their worst in 15 years in Los Angeles. I mean, it's not like this is just something that people made up because they like guns.
I'd rather be a suspect than a victim.
Tell them.
That's it.
And you're telling everybody that you're a lick right now by talking about how you don't have anything to protect yourself in the house.
That's true.
That's all it's going to take us one time. You're going to be right here agreeing with us.
Have
Yeah.
You been to the gun range before?
Yes.
Right situation.
How was it? Who took you?
Honestly, I think guns are a lot harder than I thought they were going to be. Tried out a different bunch of them. Some had really crazy recoil. It's so loud. Like, I think even if someone was to rob me, my skill with a gun would honestly put me in more danger. Right? Like, by the time that I'm just trying to remember to take the safety off, trying to remember how to hold it properly,
Just get your
like, I'm going to be there just like, oh, frick, I left the bullets out because I wanted to be safe. I'm going to try and find my bullets now.
But that
for me,
yeah.
like, keeping a metal baseball bat next to my bed is easier and probably safer.
It's easier and probably 100% ineffective in an actual situation where somebody
I
comes
don't
into
know
your
why.
house with a gun. My thing is, I feel you because the first couple times I shotgun at the gun
So
range,
let's just say someone does
I
come.
felt like,
yeah.
okay, this is scary. Like I'm not like it's weird having to memorize this sort of series of things, and it's not something you can just fuck with. You have to go to a special place to shoot it because it is so dangerous. That's why people do go to the gun range on a consistent basis to practice and make sure that they're up to speed because it's a weird hobby. Like, if you like to skateboard, you could just go out in the yard here and fuck around with your skateboard and learn to kickflip, right?
Like-
If you want to be a person who carries a gun, you owe it to yourself to spend a decent amount of time
I get that,
practicing.
but I fully believe that if someone wanted to rob my house and they came in with a gun, whether I had a gun or not, I would get robbed. Like, I would. I'm not.
But
I'm
it's
not
like your
tough.
lack of confidence in your ability to use a firearm properly is sort of allowing you to just be like, all right, I'll let somebody kill and rape me. Fuck it. I'll just,
We're
let
not talking about killing and
me and my
raping, okay?
family.
But people, like, you talk about as if there's this like mentality of people just coming in, robbing people, raping them, and then killing them on a mass
It's called
level.
flu flam, and it's a
I-
real
I-
thing.
I-
A lot of our
I'm
favorite
not
rappers
gonna
have written entire albums about
I
it.
promise you it's happening.
Not the
very
raping
often.
part, but the
Every
shooting.
How-
And
It's happening very often.
Maybe it's just not my circles then.
This
Maybe
is-
Yeah,
like my
that's true.
circles
That's true.
I don't know anyone
That's
that
true.
knows anyone that has been robbed, raped, and murdered in their home. Like, I personally don't.
Okay. Well, the raping part, I agree, is extra.
Yeah,
that's a
that's-
certain type of sicko. But the people who want to just rob your house, that's pretty common.
Yeah,
Especially
and I
if they
would
know
let them rob
you
me.
have $5,000 in your house. You have
Look,
a wedding ring that's worth $20,000,
Listen,
etc.
even-
I mean, you're a target.
Even if I was walking down the street, going down, and someone decides to mug me, my choice would always be to hand over my wallet because my life is the most important. I don't want to put my life at risk by doing some bravado thing where I'm trying to defend myself when I know most likely any guy, because, pretty much any guy can overpower me very easily, like physically. Like, I just don't see the point in putting my life at risk like that. I would just be like, you know what, here you go, here's my wallet, here's the stuff, let me go, and then like, fuck, that sucks. But that's how I take it because that is the safest way for me personally to stay safe.
Have you seen John Wick?
But there's people who literally get killed after they get their stuff over. It can there's people are just like,
I get that. But like, I think in that situation, if I was to try and fight back, my chances of getting killed goes much higher. So I'm going to take
even
the
if you
path
carry
of
a gun,
most
even if you carry a gun, there are situations in which somebody should do something violent towards you, and you should still choose not to do it. Like, for example, I saw a clip of Hot Wings Cafe in Ventura, I believe, and there's a guy sitting there eating with his girl, and the dude just sort of comes up to him and puts the gun to him, and he does not have 1 second to reach for his own gun if he were to have one, etc. The guy just straight up puts the gun in his face. The dude hands over his Rolex, his girl hands over her watch or whatever it was, and the fucking robbers leave. And it was crazy because when I'm watching it, I'm like, if that was me, and even if I had my gun in my fucking pocket ready to go, I would have handed over my Rolex if I wore a Rolex, because if I had reached into my pocket to get a gun, then he's going to shoot me dead. And so in that situation, you're right. It probably is easier for you to just...
So like how many situations am I going to be in where me reaching for a gun and trying to protect myself is actually the safer option?
Okay.
I don't think me as a person has that many opportunities.
Let me just break it down for a completely logical level. If someone breaks into my house, you think it would be better for me to not have a gun even though they have a gun?
I think so.
Clearly it would be better for me to have a gun.
No, because I think a lot of people...
You're actually saying no to that? Because I can't really respect that opinion. That's insane.
Okay, first of all, don't have a criminal mindset. Not really sure how criminals think. That might affect this somewhat. But I feel like if I'm someone with a gun, I'm just going to pretend I'm a criminal. But if I was someone with a gun, and then I went into a house, and then there's like a bunch of, like a family, and they're all like, oh my God, please take whatever you want. Versus I come into a gun, and then there's some guy gung-ho who's like, he picks up a gun. I'm going to panic, and then I'm going to shoot. Right?
Most people, when they break into a house, they don't actually want to catch a murder charge. That's one important thing.
Sure, but then they're going to panic when they see a gun back at them. Would they rather catch a murder charge or be dead?
I mean, those are two very, very different options.
Right,
like a person breaking into a house, that's rarely going to be the two options.
If they go up against a family that's like surrendering and their family's just like, take whatever you want, they're not going to feel like I have to murder these people.
I'm surprised by the extent to which you seem okay with being a victim. It's a very non-American idea.
It's not that they choose.
You say that I have a victim mentality, but I say Americans have a paranoia mentality. Okay,
I'll take that.
Right? Because you guys are all like, people are gonna come rob me. I have to have a gun to defend myself. I literally read a news article the other day when this guy, like, I don't know what, like, he was some guy and he thought someone broke into his house, so he shot them, and it was just his toddler that came out of the bedroom because like they had a nightmare or some shit, right?
If somebody's 2 feet tall and you shoot them, you got a problem.
But like that's the mentality you guys have. Your mentality is like, oh my God, someone could rob me at any time and I need to get my gun and I'm going to shoot them, and then you shoot your child, right? So that's a paranoia mentality, and I prefer to have a defeatist mentality or whatever, where I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to assume no one's going to rob me, and if someone robs me, holy shit,
there is a middle ground between carrying a gun and murdering your child.
Right.
That seems like an extreme example of one asshole.
It happens.
It happens.
It happens more than once.
Just because you carry a gun doesn't mean you have to shoot your toddler.
No, but I'm saying that's the mentality.
That's actually pretty rare.
Yeah, extremely.
Like,
I don't know. You guys are all sitting here telling me we have to have a gun because someone's going to rob us and I have to protect myself.
Everyone I know carries a gun. Everyone I know carries a gun, and none of them have killed a toddler.
I'm not saying you're killing a toddler, but I'm saying it's the mentality.
You literally.
If you're going to tell me that I have a victim mentality, I'm going to say you're paranoid.
Like, depending on where you're from and where you grew up, like, it actually is common like that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I've personally been robbed at gunpoint. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
did you have a gun?
At the time, no, I didn't.
Did you survive?
If I did, no, clearly, because I gave him my stuff over because I didn't have a gun at the very time.
So you didn't have a gun, you got robbed, and you survived.
And now I have a gun everywhere.
But you think that it would be...
I bet I won't get robbed.
You think that when someone put a gun in her face that she would have been better off not having a gun?
Well, I mean...
That's bizarre logic.
Her not having a gun, so far, 1 for 1, she survived. Let's see you get robbed, and you point a gun at them now, and then we'll come back and see
guess
how
what?
it goes.
I never
like
got
that'll be
robbed having a
statistically,
gun.
we'll see. So the robbery
Never got robbed
happened,
having a gun.
Yeah,
but
like,
you haven't got robbed yet whilst having a gun.
I
But
think
I'm just
about
saying,
my time
did
spent.
they know? Did
Harriet,
they know you
think about
absolutely
it.
didn't have
Harriet,
a gun?
think about it. I worked on Melrose for all those years. I had this store, and there's
I
people
know
coming
it's
through
crazy.
all the time. Hella money, hella chains, etc. Nice ass
That's
clothes.
another thing. Yeah.
And a lot of times I would be looking at them, and I would be thinking to myself, these motherfuckers would be robbed already
If they didn't have guns.
people didn't know. And it's not like they're flashing their guns. It's not like they woke up that morning and put their gun on their Instagram story. But anybody with half a fucking brain would probably assume that there's a couple guns in this group of dudes.
When you see this, you know what come with it.
It's preventative. It's like, we can't just live in a society where we let only bad people have guns. And
I
you seem to
think-
be very, very okay with that, which I'm really surprised by.
No, I think it's just the difference in our cultures, in American gun mentality.
Your culture
and
has no
European.
guns.
I know.
That's why it's easy.
That's
It's
why I'm
easy to
saying
not
that.
have a gun when there's like
So
5
I'm not
murders in
saying-
England every year.
I'm not saying that I think
Gun
Americans should
murders.
get all over. Like, I'm not saying America should get rid of guns. I truly believe that your country is beyond that now.
Yes.
I believe gun culture is too entrenched, and I believe that, the moment that you did not do something after Sandy Hook happened was the moment that all hope was lost for the gun thing, right? Because we had guns in England, right? And then there was one school shooting and a bunch of 6-year-olds got killed, and that's when we were like, everyone give back your fucking guns right now, right? And that was the moment. And you guys had that moment with Sandy Hook and it didn't happen. So I was like, okay, this is it. This is American culture now.
Frankly,
and you do
I'm
what
glad
you do
because
with
realistically, I would like for the law-abiding
like,
citizens to have
right.
guns and not just the school shooters.
Right, no,
if
I
we
get
live in a
that.
country where the only people who have guns are the school shooters, then we're in a lot of trouble.
So bad.
If they really
so
try
I
to take
do
people
understand
guns-
that and I'm not advocating for Americans to get rid of their guns or whatever it is you're saying. Like I understand that your country can't do that, but I think I grew up too much without that culture that I just can't feel the same way you feel.
But why are you
If I
making it
get-
about your feelings?
If I get shot, right?
It's
getting
not about how
robbed,
you feel.
if
It's
I
about
get-
the
no, 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 no,
actual
no, no.
risk that actual Americans
I'm
just
are
saying.
in on a daily basis. I have been in a
It's
lot
a
of
mentality
situations
thing.
where if I didn't have a gun or if I didn't have somebody around me who I was paying to hold a gun, I would be dead right now.
But the way you make America sound so weird
No.
to me.
You're making
because-
it sound like
no.
this is just some fantasy that I dreamed up.
You're
It's
making
not.
it sound
I promise
like
you.
every
No, it's
single
reality.
American,
It's reality.
millions
I'm
and millions
telling
of
you
Americans
about my
are
actual
walking-
experience as a
Yes,
human being
I
on
get that.
Earth. He's sitting here telling you, are there times in your life where you're pretty confident you would have got robbed or killed if you didn't have a
Absolutely.
gun? Yes.
Sure.
It's not just some paranoid fantasy that we're cooking up. You're from a place that has almost no guns.
But are you saying
and it was easy
all
for them to make
Americans
everybody
feel
hand.
this way?
We're not saying
Not all Americans. If I lived where I grew up, I would be very comfortable in New Hampshire without a gun. I lived there for a long time. I didn't have a gun. I think I was fine. Do I think that the people out there who do carry guns are bugging? No, because I'm sure that there are threats that they're
So-
aware of. But in Los Angeles, the gang capital of the United States, where there's more murders than almost anywhere else in the country, of course it's reasonable to carry a gun. I mean, come
Just
on.
beat my
Okay,
gun
well then
charge.
also I don't live in Los Angeles.
I did,
Again,
I
you're
did.
judging me for something that doesn't really apply to me because you're not going to judge someone from New Hampton for the exact same reason.
Hampshire. There's plenty of
Hampshire.
murders in the OC too, for the record.
Do you still live in England?
No, but that was what I was going to say. If I, get robbed and shot at gunpoint, my last thought isn't going to be, God, I wish I had a gun. It's going to be, God, why the fuck did I come to America?
That's fair.
But look, if they try to take people guns like on a large scale like that January 6th shit just gonna look like a warm up.
Oh hell no, we ain't
Yeah,
going
that
out
shit
without
is
a
not
fight.
cut- That's not happening.
I'm digging a hole in the backyard. We're gonna put the
Yeah.
guns there until the
It's-
inspectors leave.
Exactly.
It's gonna be
That's
ugly.
not
Like
happening.
it'll
That's
never.
another funny
That's not
thing. The
happening.
whole Second Amendment makes me laugh. The whole we're gonna have our guns so we can stop a tyrannical,
Bash
tyrannical
America
government.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's what the Second Amendment is for, right? So that the people can stand up against
gonna
like
turn
a
her
bad
over to
government.
ice.
But I just want to know. I just want to know,
Oh,
like,
shit.
I mean, like realistically speaking,
Like, I'ma
speaking,
always
if your
be-
government was
I'ma
really
always
turned evil, they'd just drone strike you, and there's nothing your Glock's gonna do against that.
I'm gonna be very biased. I'm in the NRA. I carry guns every day. Like
I'm totally fine with that.
I can say,
But I'm
with
just saying, like,
full
for the Second
confidence
Amendment,
that
even-
carrying a gun and being a gun owner and stuff has made me massively more confident and just really like I feel a lot safer. Like it completes the presumed purpose of it, which is that you don't want somebody to be able to take advantage of you. And yes, of course, me shooting a robber is not like hugely likely, but me having a gun or someone knowing I have a gun and knowing enough to not fuck with me
Sure, exactly.
gives me the confidence
Exactly.
to be able, you know, like it's strange to me that you don't seem to like get that.
Yeah.
And I just want you to understand, it's not a paranoid fantasy that we've dreamed up here. This is how Americans
Then
actually feel.
I do apologize for underestimating the severity of the criminal activity in the place that you actively choose to live.
What? We was born here.
Yeah, and I mean,
Born here.
in terms of the Sandy Hook thing, it's like, I mean, what were people supposed to do? Like, let's just turn over all of our fucking guns. Let's only let illegal guns exist in this country.
I mean,
that
that's
doesn't
what
seem
a
like
lot.
a good
That's
plan.
what a lot of countries did when countries had
Countries with a
parallel-
lot less guns than ours.
And maybe that's the problem, you know. And again, I'm not going to say America needs to change its gun laws. I think it's far too late.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Last time somebody turned
But
over
why
their
do
guns,
you
the
choose to
Taliban
live in a
came.
place that you're gonna?
That's real. Okay. Any other what topics are weighing on our brains here? We've already
Crypto.
decided. Oh, crypto.
Crypto.
How you feeling about crypto these days?
It's finna be a crazy year.
Yeah.
I feel it.
What are you largely invested in terms of crypto?
My favorite right now is something called GM.
General Motors.
Same thing. It was the same call sign, but they got this thing where they're trying to get more market cap than the actual General Motors.
Isn't GM just like a way of saying good morning that crypto people do on social media? And is that the origin of the name?
Yeah, that's where it came from. So they probably use that to just, since people already say it every day, let's just call it that.
Interesting.
Boom, now you got...
What percentage of your capital, you know, that you have liquid? Like obviously you have other things, but how much exposure do you have to crypto?
How much exposure?
Like if you had $1 million that you could have in the bank and you want to distribute it between real estate, crypto, et cetera, like how much of that would you probably want to put into crypto?
I'll probably do about 20% crypto, the rest real estate.
Interesting.
Yeah, because real estate right now is crazy.
Real estate is crazy. The stock market is insane.
I don't like the stock
And
market.
crypto's insane. So it feels like you can't go too wrong these days because all those options are just looking up.
Yeah.
Which is it's a weird state of affairs. Yeah. The other day somebody paid me like 50 grand in crypto, and that shit was like 42 by the end of the day. I was like,
if
God
you don't
damn.
move it after those fees, that's the thing about these.
No,
laws.
just Ethereum had like a temporary
yeah.
crash. It's probably already back nearly to where it started, but
Jeez.
Just to move that stuff around, some of those fees be.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know nothing about it.
You fuck with NFTs?
I own half of a CryptoPunk with my girl that we bought for $160,000 and now worth maybe $450,000. So that was a pretty good lick. But unfortunately, we tried to buy it 2 days earlier, but the money took a little bit to transfer or whatever. We could have done it probably right then, but we fucked up and we didn't do it right. We tried to buy it at 80. It was 160 2 days later, and then the floor price for punks has been like around 450, 400, 500 cents.
I think NFTs a Ponzi scheme.
You don't fuck with them at all.
Not at all. I started learning how to write the software for it, and I was like, oh, this is some bullshit.
NFTs
you do
are
do
the
software.
funniest things.
Why?
It's okay. Have you ever seen a bunch of crypto bros that like putting money down and they're like outbidding each other so that they could own a digital receipt of a picture?
Yeah.
And they're like, I own this picture. You can't look at it, and everyone else is just like, Control-4, screenshot that shit. You know, like
Yeah.
you are literally owning a digital receipt for an image only on a very specific database. So someone else could actually make an NFT of the exact same image on their database and sell it too. So you're not even buying the art or whatever it is that they're selling
Right.
you. They're selling you a bunch of
That's kind of like
Digital numbers.
That's kind of like the argument that everybody said when they first found out about NFTs, but it doesn't really hold up to too much scrutiny.
Does it not?
People always want to say like, "Oh, look, I could just copy and paste this. I could print it out." Okay, well, I can print out a picture of the Mona Lisa that might look better than the original
Right.
Mona Lisa. It doesn't really mean that I own something that's worth as much
But
as
I
the
mean,
Mona
it's
Lisa.
worth more than owning a receipt of the Mona Lisa that you don't actually own. You
But
just
but
own a
let,
receipt.
let me ask you this: you believe that Bitcoin has value? I assume. There's almost nobody on earth who doesn't think that
guess.
Bitcoin is worth.
I actually
what
stay
it,
out of all of this stuff.
right, but okay, if you can accept that Bitcoin is worth what it's worth, then why on earth would you not be able to accept the same thing about NFT? It's exactly the same thing, except
That's very true.
one is
Can't touch
a
it.
solid you know, it's unbreakable. You can't just like pick it apart unless you were to do a DAO or whatever the fuck you pronounce that.
When you got crypto, you got an asset that's stored somewhere. The NFT is just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
No, but it's exactly the same thing. It's written on the blockchain. That is the thing that is separating an NFT from a JPEG.
Right.
Is just the fact that it exists on the blockchain, so it is scarce. It can't be replicated, and you do own something original. Like that, and that was one of the main arguments that I realized about the punk that made me want to go in. And of course, I've missed various waves of NFTs. Like I didn't do the Bored Ape Yacht Club or whatever
Didn't
the
he
fuck.
get hacked?
Nah, they just got exposed for having like racist signals in their art.
Really? I didn't hear about
Yeah,
that.
Like they got like
The Bored Apes.
Shit just does not stop. Man.
The Bored Apes are racist.
Like they got one ape with like the Boogaloo Boys shirt on, like the exact one from one of the photos from.
The Boogaloo Boys aren't specifically racist, though, right? I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how all that works, but when the reason why I got so down with the punks was just that somebody, like, I listened to a really good podcast by this guy Doug Polk, he's a poker player, investor, etc., about the punks. I heard the argument. They're like, this is like basically the first serious series of NFTs, and over time, you know, as NFTs, to me, NFTs are inevitably going to become bigger and not smaller. And now that's difficult because there are so many people basically doing scams, no jumper Instagram page, getting paid to promote bullshit NFTs, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to lie, that's a thing.
Yeah.
But I just think that the most important NFTs are going to hold their value because it's an important technology that I think is only going to become more and more relevant.
With NFTs, they got to really transition into like have a use case. So like if you own an NFT, let's say you got a no jumper NFT, you only got 1,000. But anytime you sell some merchandise, if you own one of these NFTs, you get 50% off.
Right, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, finding ways to provide utility through that, and you know, them talking about incorporating into video games and stuff. Like, listen, I've been playing Pokemon Go for over 5 years.
Me too.
Still,
Still.
what level are you?
On Let's Go or Go Your
Pokemon
Phone?
Go.
I don't know.
All right, you ain't real. But I've been playing for 5 years. So the idea of owning a digital asset that is worth something, because I see people sell their Pokemon Go accounts, and I mean, they have less experience than me, and they're selling these things for 10 grand, 20 grand. So the idea that you could have a digital asset that's worth something is like very familiar to me, since it's just so similar.
Somebody tried to pay me $10,000 for my Twitter account.
Really?
Yeah, they be doing that like Instagram.
Is that how you got banned?
Nah, so I don't know what happened with that shit.
Why'd you get banned?
Because anytime they did some shit where if you promote under a viral tweet, you get suspended.
Oh wow.
And I did one of those. Somebody paid me like $100 to like post about a lamp shaped like the sun or something like that. And that's what it was.
And you lost your account permanently for that?
No, I got it back after a couple
They
months.
suspend you for that now? On
Yeah.
Twitter?
Does that mean I'm following
Wow.
2 of your accounts now?
No, the other one's gone.
Oh.
Yeah, only got one.
Oh, okay,
If
that
it's
makes
another one, it's a fake page.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Imagine I booked you for this and then like some other dude showed up. It could happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, you played my freestyle up here too. When I just sent you a random video and you was like, "Oh shit, look at this," and you played it like on the show.
Really? Oh, right. I forgot about that.
That shit
Yeah.
was funny.
Legendary.
Actually, talking about Pokemon Go and NFTs, I think there is only one thing that I've like looked at briefly to do with NFTs and anything that I was like, oh, that actually makes sense, right? And it was like a video game called Axis Infinity where you get like an NFT of a character and then you make a
seen
team
that
and you
too.
fight and then you can like, and it's all like with crypto and stuff, and you can earn crypto money through playing this game, and then your character is the NFT and then you can trade
Yeah,
that.
you get airdrops
That
from
I
it.
understand. Right, because you're making it into a game, and then they have value through the game, which you also earn money in.
And that's
that
the
I
whole
get.
thing, is that
but
the-
like just a picture, I still don't fully get.
The functionality of NFTs is clearly like in its infancy. The same way I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about Bitcoin, and I hear these Bitcoin OGs talk about how cumbersome Bitcoin was to own in the early days, and how you basically couldn't do anything with it. It was just so much fucked up shit in the market and everything. And people were getting. I know a guy who lost $500,000 because he got his fucking Bitcoin account scammed
Oh,
when
that's
the
crazy
Mount
right
Gox
now.
shit got taken down. He had $500,000 in his account. Boom, gone. He's salty as fuck about that. Yeah, it's just like with the NFT thing. I'll admit that I I have a really hard time figuring out why certain NFTs, like the Bored Ape thing, I don't really understand why this became the NFTs that are doing so well and that people are actually fully supporting. I mean, I can understand that they have like a community behind it and people think they look cool. Sure. But I mean, there's all kinds of scam NFTs that look kind of cool.
Yeah,
and
facts.
this is hard. Like the the punk thing was easy for me to wrap my head around because it's like, oh, that's the first one. That's the most important one. It's not really accessible to most people because they're so expensive. That's what made me feel like that was a good one to take a risk on. But since then, I have not really seen anything that excited me.
All the plagiarism? Not plagiarism. Is that the right word? What about all the people stealing people's artwork and making NFTs out of it, and then the artists themselves taking the hit?
Well, I see people all the time promoting like weird, different crypto punks that are written on different blockchains.
I've seen that.
But there's nothing
Ethereum.
to stop that.
Right, but I mean, they're not really worth anything from what I could tell. I haven't really seen any of those actually accumulate much
But it still sucks as
value.
an artist to have your art stolen,
lot of
made into an
people-
NFT and
It
sold.
does. They need to do it first.
But I mean, your art's stolen, like it's only worth what people are willing to pay for it. And it's like if people are aggregating upon, it's not like the art's exactly the same. They're switching it up or whatever.
No,
but
a lot of people are straight up stealing art and like selling it
Yeah,
as
it's a
if
problem
it's
on
theirs.
OpenSea right now.
But if you're going to equate like saving the image of something to
Oh no, she's
stealing it, it's like that's kind of
No, people
not
are
really how it
like
works.
saving it and then reselling it.
Right.
right. But you can never sell the original.
Oh yeah.
The original NFT. You know, you can make a duplicate on a different. You know, like it is what it is. It's hard for me to explain because I don't really have the language necessarily to.
It's all
Describe
new.
it.
This is gonna
Like,
be a jig in every situation. Man.
Oh yeah, that's the craziest shit is how
That's
it
just
has,
what it is.
bro. Okay, so there was a dude. Okay, so 6ix9ine did an NFT. There's a series of NFTs. It was called Trolls, and basically like, you know, he promoted it a little bit on his social media. Obviously, like pretty much nothing has been going on in his career, but he started promoting this NFT. He has a big ass fan base, you know, 20 million Instagram followers or some shit, and like at least one dude ponied up $40,000 because he figured that this would be a good investment, which doesn't sound totally crazy to me. I mean, 6ix9ine is
Yeah.
very, very famous. If he has an NFT, then maybe that would be an NFT that would last the test of time. It turns out this motherfucker's out 40 grand because that shit is worth nothing all of a sudden.
that's how most of them gonna be. 'Cause
Yeah.
At the
And
end,
that's why you called it a Ponzi scheme.
it's always gonna be somebody who get burnt at the end. Like no matter what
Yeah.
happens.
And that's the crazy thing is that there are so many people doing shady ass NFTs that it kind of takes away from the people who are actually doing it for the love of the art and stuff. The people who are really trying to develop series NFTs that are artistic and that they just really want to get behind it, it becomes kind of difficult when there's more scams. I mean, but at the same time, I mean, there's more scam tokens. There's more bullshit tokens than there is Bitcoin and Ethereum.
And then now with NFTs, you can draw one picture and then code up something to make 10,000 different ones in different colors.
Yeah.
In like a couple seconds. So it's just
Wow.
It's a whole
cool.
thing.
I'm cool on it.
like people hit me to make them all the time. I just don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, the kinks gotta get worked all the way out and everything.
But there's going to be a lot less value to go around. Like, you know, I know people who bought Bitcoin at $50.
Yeah, that's
You got to look at crypto right now
Insane.
as like the internet in 1998.
Yeah.
So
I was just seeing a tweet from somebody who said that he was trying to transfer some money from his bank account. He was on the phone with the bank for an hour and a half, and then the call got dropped for whatever reason. I don't know what the hell's wrong with his phone plan, but he said he spent like $30 on this phone call, and that in that moment he was like, "This is the importance of Bitcoin. It's the fact that like, look how ridiculous and cumbersome dealing with banks is. Like, why would anybody want to fucking go through this? You know? Yeah. Anyway,
decentralization.
decentralization.
That's all it is.
Let's go. Okay, this is a good conversation. We are about to do another one after this. So thank you guys for all coming through.
Yes, this was cool.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
having us.
No jumper panel.
Hey.
Let us know what you think in the comments.
Oh God.
Appreciate y'all.